Here we are. Should be live. Waiting for the notification to pop up on the phone. Should be any second. Not the one I was looking for. Okay, cool. See if this works. There we go. There we go. That way I can monitor shit, whatnot. Hey, we've got some people waiting here already. Nice. This is the 2,500 subscriber spectacular. Right there, just like it says. Let's crack this open. Get a little refreshment. And I wanted to show you all some stuff. Let's go ahead and remove that. Okay. So, bring this over here. This is my Social Blade. Got my channel analytics. And, you know, I've really have had a rough time for a very long time. My channel was pretty much just dead. Oh, I guess I can't go back that far. That sucks. Well, moral of the story, I've recently had some success with some of the new video content that I have been doing. Most recently, this 2026 is gonna be hell for video game retail. Now, for a channel my size, it's not a huge video, but it has actually been getting some traction, and it's actually resonated with people, which is really cool. It's just something that I kind of did off the cuff, looked at some different articles, kind of discussed a different perspective that I don't think a lot of people have in terms of the video game space, with all the crazy stuff going on. You know, the poor retail performance this year, as well as the AI bubble that we're currently under with the RAM and all that good stuff. And I decided to kind of take a look at, well, how's this going to affect the actual retail stores? You know, the ones that actually carry the video game consoles, accessories, the video games themselves, and so on. And that's kind of what that video was about. If you happen to be watching the stream and you haven't watched that video, definitely do so. I've shared it to a lot of people, so. But it'd be cool if you did watch it. But yeah, I've gotten some new subscribers because of that. I've got some new subscribers for some of the other videos that I've done recently. Souls games promote right-wing ideology, according to Alyssa Mercante, which that video is kind of an unusual one in its own right. It's not exactly one that is like some of the other ones I did, because it's kind of from a different perspective. But I thought it was a very interesting topic, and, you know, I guess some people agreed with it, clearly. And then, of course, how Final Fantasy Tactics awakened me. This was kind of a bigger project that I actually worked on. It took me several days of getting things outlined and things like that. Like, not like constantly working like a huge amount of time, but definitely a lot more work than I usually put into a video. Kind of describing some of my perspectives, what really made this game special for me, and how it kind of shaped me as a person in some regards. So I thought that was really cool. So, but, you know, YouTube has been kind of crazy. You know, I've been on the platform for a very long time, and I've never really found like a niche that I was comfortable with. You know, it's always been the kind of thing that I would dabble in different things, video games, let's plays, doing news topics and stuff like that, and changing the format constantly, not really being very consistent. Now, this kind of format I'm using here, using OBS to, of course, live stream. Got the green screen over here. Got the microphone with the arm and all that good stuff. You know, here I am in the lower right-hand corner. You know, if you happen to not be actually watching, you're just listening, I'm in the lower right-hand corner of the screen. on these videos and streams that I've been doing, offering my commentary, my take on things. And I kind of find it's a good format. Thank you very much, Retro Bro. I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, my channel has been like at 2,400 for like a very long time. And I've had like no growth for like a really long time. Like I would get like a subscriber here or there. And then like I started picking up a little bit in October. I've actually lost subscribers, if anything. Like I was losing subscribers over the last couple of years, at least according to the Social Blade. So that was kind of wild. I don't even know why. Maybe people were just like, well, he wasn't really doing his channel because my channel was dead for a long time. And so, yeah, this is just showing, I guess, what the stuff that people have been watching over the past, I guess this is over the past year, and is tracking that information and what the actual watch time and stuff like that, which actually I'm curious if I can see my actual watch time statistics. I'm curious how close I am. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It happens. I don't know. I guess sometimes it could be accounts that get deleted or whatever. For whatever reason, maybe that counts as a lost subscriber. I imagine if somebody's just not watching you, they're probably not generally going out of their way to go to your channel and click unsubscribe. You know, if somebody's unsubscribing, there's probably a good reason for it. At least a good reason for them. You know, it may not be a good reason for the average person, because you might say something that's, you know, maybe a little bit of a hot take. And, you know, maybe it like triggers them or something like that, you know, offends them in some way, and they unsubscribe. But that's probably not that common, honestly, unless you do something really crazy. You know, I imagine a lot of times you lose subscribers just because accounts get deleted, they get banned, they get inactive, and I don't know, like maybe they haven't had any activity for years, and Google's like, yeah, we'll just keep it on the DL and delete that. Yeah, I need to figure out how I can actually see my watch time. I guess I could go to, let me pull up another YouTube window and just go to my channel. Maybe I could figure it out on a different screen. So I am curious to see, because you know, I'm not monetized right now. So I am curious to see like how far off I am though, because I noticed that my watch time, I think I had like 500 and something hours in the past month. And I know you have to have 3,000. So obviously I've had a pretty good month compared to usual, but I'm wondering, I'm just curious like how that is comparing. Let's see, how can I find this? I was looking at analytics. I guess I can just go to the Earn tab and see here. Okay, so I'm at 1,916 watch hours over the last 365 days. So I am a little bit short, but if I keep this trajectory, I should hopefully be able to be monetized again on the channel, which would be cool. You know, that'd be really cool. So I'll just have to do my best to, well, one, upload stuff and live stream regularly, because you know, you can't get the numbers without putting out content, you know, unless some crazy video happens to go viral out of nowhere. Which actually, that kind of reminds me, it didn't go, nothing went viral really, but I did have a old video that I recently had a comment on, like literally 17 years ago. I thought that was kind of wild. Let me see if I can find that comment here. I'm not sure if it's even gonna. Where is it? I'll just look up the video, so I know which video. Yeah, this right here. This review I did back in 2008. This was literally the very first game review I ever done on YouTube. And I had somebody recently comment on it out of nowhere, which I was just mind blown. I'll just click on the link. I'm not going to watch the video. It's trash. Nobody should watch it. Honestly, it's not good. But yeah, I had this guy like less than a day ago comment on this video. It blows my mind because like, how exactly did he come across this video? Like this video probably wouldn't even come up under normal search. I looked at his channel details. He's never had a comment on my channel before, so it's not like somebody that's previously watched my stuff, at least not, they didn't never expose themselves as a viewer of my channel by commenting or something of that nature. So I thought that was kind of wild. But yeah, if you've never played Xena Warrior Princess on the PS1, it's actually not a bad game. It's not a bad game at all. It's a pretty serviceable action game on the PS1. Like you have to keep in mind, this was before even stuff like Devil May Cry and that kind of stuff. And it was kind of doing some certain things that were later, like pretty much a mainstream thing in that kind of genre. And, you know, obviously it has like some different recording lines and things like that from the TV show. It was a pretty decent game. It was put out by EA of all companies, which that doesn't make any sense. You know, EA doesn't really do those kinds of games very often. I don't even know how they got the license for it, honestly, because I think another company had the license at the same time. Because there was a Xena game on the N64 also, and it was put out by a completely different company. So yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there. I think the PS1 game may have came out afterwards, and so maybe the EA got the rights after they put out their N64 game. And yeah, I know it's kind of weird. So I don't even know why I got that video. I accidentally clicked that short. I think that's the girl from Walking Dead. She played Maggie, I'm pretty sure. So there I am right there. A little bit of delay. Okay. So yeah, for anybody that's watching afterwards or anybody that's here, of course, Retro Bro, of course, commented earlier. You know, I'm really appreciative of this stuff, and I'm gonna try to keep grinding at it. I plan on doing some more live streaming soon. I'm just not sure exactly what I'm going to do. Let's take a look at some of the live streams that I've done recently. I'm going to go to the content section here. We can take a look and see. You know, I've been streaming a couple of recent games, of course, the Terminator 2 HD, or yeah, HD No Fate or whatever, 2D rather. Marvel Cosmic Invasion, that game is just bonkers. It is so awesome. Like this game was definitely like a childhood nostalgia trip. Fantastic. I did some N64 games, of course. That was just off the emulators, of course. Did the NES War Game stream. I did that for Veterans Day for all the fine folks that served and, or I guess currently serving. Did some Mercenaries, which I would like to get back to that. That's a really cool GTA style game that honestly a lot of people snooze on. I've been playing that on the Series X. Streamed some Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm a big fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, I don't play it as much as I used to, but I usually laundry day. It's a good laundry day game for me because like I can you know, get my laundry started because I have to use like a coin operated thing on the other side of the apartment building, and you know, play a few rounds and kind of cycle out my laundry as I need to. So that's kind of like the pattern that I've been doing with that. Did some Silent Hill, of course. Did Silent Hill 4, The Room, Silent Hill 2. Checked out Wolfenstein, which I actually really enjoyed this version of Wolfenstein from 2009. This was Raven Software. It was a pretty fun game. Even checked out Mercenaries 2, which is not as good as the first game, but it's still pretty fun. It's got a lot of cool stuff to it. 40th birthday NES stream. So that was actually like a longer stream than usual. I covered a lot of different NES games from my childhood and whatnot. I think I covered Retro Bros game even towards the end, if I remember right. Or no, maybe I did that on the... I might have did that on the Veterans Day stream, if I remember right. Final Fantasy Tactics. I had a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics streams, but this was for the remake here. But I streamed it several times on my iPad. I probably should get back to that because I actually was getting pretty close to finishing the game on there. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. That game's ass. Do not play Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. It's a terrible game. It is literally one of the most boring games I have ever played. And it is a walking sim, so I should have known what I got myself into. But there was like nothing interesting going on in the game at all. The movement speed was slow. It's not a walking sim, it's a crawling sim, really, like how slow you move in the game. And I don't know. I can't describe how brutal of an experience it is to experience that game. Metal Eden, of course, that was a pretty cool FPS game. I guess I overpaid for it because it's like a 7-hour game for $40, but it was still fun. I still had a good time with this game. It was definitely a very old school kind of game, but with modern visuals. So I appreciated that aspect. Dead Cells, that's one of my favorite 2D roguelike type games. It's just a fantastic game. I absolutely love the combat system of Dead Cells. That's definitely one that I would like to stream again. I've streamed it before, I think, way back in the day. Dune Awakening, they had a free trial for Dune Awakening, and it's one of these survival crafting kind of games where it takes place in the Dune universe, essentially, like the movie and whatnot, the books. And, I'm not usually into this genre, but I really enjoyed my time with what I played of it. But the thing is, like, the people I play with, like, I have a couple of friends that I play a lot of games online with. They're usually the ones I play with the most. One of them really liked it also, like I did. Actually, they both liked it, but one of the friends, he is really into, he was really into, rather, a game called Conan Exiles, which is the same developer. And apparently he really enjoyed the core gameplay loop of the game, but apparently this developer did a really bad job with actually maintaining the game. There was apparently a lot of bugs and issues that they never addressed. They were just doing nothing but selling DLC and microtransactions and stuff like that. They weren't addressing any of the core issues of the game. And so he didn't want to get the game because of that, which I can't blame him. That would suck. Honestly, it sucks that that's the reality of a lot of games nowadays, these online service games particularly. I didn't really notice any issues like that with this game from my time with it, though, because I streamed this and I actually played it a bit more than what I did on the stream. I think I got another 3 or 4 hours into it beyond what I streamed of it. I really enjoyed it despite my transgressions with that type of stuff. So, yeah, like I said, more of the Final Fantasy stuff. I streamed some Brutal Legend when Ozzy passed away. Rest in peace. Ozzy is one of the legends for sure. Always will be. It doesn't matter if it's 10 years from now, 100 years from now. Basically, until the end of time, people are going to know about Ozzy Osbourne and his contributions to music in general. Of course, I streamed some Switch 2 stuff like Donkey Kong Bonanza. I think I did like Cyberpunk, Mario Kart. I had been streaming pretty regularly for a while, and then I kind of just slacked off. Of course, I streamed Retro Bros game, Maverick's Bad Extraction. I also streamed, I forget his name, but the guy that made the Panzer Frontiers actually streamed that. That was a pretty cool game. That was a really good NES homebrew. So I definitely recommend that. Of course, I did stream some of the Tears of the Kingdom and stuff like that too, the Switch 2 Enhanced Edition. I've been really thinking about that game lately, Tears of the Kingdom, especially since I've seen that they have a VR mode now for the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild that they're coming out with, or they have came out with. I don't know, but you could play the entire game in VR in first person. That would be like a really cool way to play the game for sure. Yeah, so I definitely intend on doing more streams. I had been doing it pretty regularly, like in the month of June especially. I had a lot of streams. So that's something I definitely need to work on to bump up the numbers, pump up the rookie numbers. Other than that, of course, obviously I'm going to continue to do videos like this one in particular here. I definitely try to do that. I've actually, like people will of course say stuff about certain video content and stuff like that. I did this test video because I was trying to test out the 120 hertz support on YouTube. YouTube doesn't support it at all, as I learned. There was conflicting information online. The AI from the Google search was falsifying information saying that you can do it. Apparently you can't. But I was just trying to test out the 120 hertz mode on Metroid Prime 4. That's what I did there. I never streamed the game. I haven't actually played it that much, to be honest. I've enjoyed what I played of it so far, but I haven't been feeling it either, if that makes sense. It's not because I don't like the game. I do like the game. What I played of it is pretty cool. I'm a pretty big fan of Metroid Prime, but I'm not in the mood to play it, if that makes sense. If you guys know what I'm talking about. So that is what it is. Of course, I did the video about horses. I've actually been kind of curious about this game. I've been watching some people talk about it and stuff like that. But at the same time, like just the whole situation kind of like trips me up a bit. But I mean, I have to give them the benefit of the doubt just because like it is a he said, she said thing. It's what Valve is saying versus what the devs are saying. Valve hasn't really provided any evidence to their claims for why they kept it off of Steam. So I don't know. I'm not going to tell people not to play the game if they're curious about it, because it does seem like it's a game that has like a very, very strong message that some people may enjoy. Learning about not enjoy the game itself. The game, from what I understand, is meant to intentionally be discomforting. It's not a game that you play to have fun. Exactly. But that's kind of the interesting thing about video games nowadays. You can make a game that isn't meant to be fun. Just like you watch a movie. There's all kinds of movies, documentaries, and so on. They're not there to entertain you, but there is still value in watching those movies. Obviously, books, you can get a lot more from books than just entertainment. You can get knowledge, you can get a different perspective, you can, there's more to that. And that's why I consider gaming like an art form, just like movies, books, and so on, is because they can be for more than just entertainment. That is one of the qualifying aspects of any form of medium, is that it has to have a diverse set of, I'm really fumbling the words here, but you have to be able to get more out of it than just one thing. Like when you look at a painting, I guess, people don't like get entertained by paintings necessarily, unless it's just something really funny and goofy and, but you get something out of it other than just the one thing. Everybody has like different interpretations and that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool. I'm definitely an advocate for that kind of stuff. And, there's so many games out there. If it's something doesn't click with you, just don't play it. It's that simple. You don't have to play everything. It's impossible to play everything. I mean, there's literally thousands of games that come out every year. If you did nothing but played video games from waking up to going to bed for 365 days, there's no way you can beat every game, or at least play them enough that you have the core idea of the game behind, for that matter. Because there's just such a wealth of stuff out there. My YouTube channel, all these YouTube channels is another example. There is no way you can watch everybody. So we have to really be um, thankful for what we can indulge in, what we can enjoy. And so, I do, I do appreciate, because like my channel was basically dead. It is effectively dead, I suppose, but there's like a little bit of a spark. It seems like there's just a little bitty root coming out of the ground. And I'm going to try to take advantage of it. So, yeah, that's really what it boils down to. Uh as far as like future works that I'm going to be doing on this channel, I'm going to, of course, do the type of content I've recently been doing, these types of videos, but I'm going to try to be a little more prepared. I'm going to try to have things prepared ahead of time. I would like to, of course, set up different effects that I can use both in live streams as well as on the videos, just to make it a little more entertaining, I guess we could say, a little more enjoyable. And, I do plan on doing some scripted content as well, which is like the example, the Final Fantasy Tactics Awaken Me video is an example of something like that. That was something that I actually scripted out and I read off of a teleprompter app on my phone and did some different editing and that kind of stuff. I will be doing some of that stuff too, but it's not going to be something I'll do regularly. It's something that uh, it's going to be kind of like I want to make it more of an event, I guess you could say. But at the same time, I want to be able to regularly put out content, which is why I kind of like the format that I've got it. It makes it easy to put out content, do some basic preparation and stuff like that, and then just get on here and ramble. Sometimes I have to stop the video and start over again because I screw things up. I know I screwed things up already doing this live stream, but you can't really do it live, obviously. You can't cut that out, I guess. I mean, I guess I could just stream the whole thing all over again. That would be ridiculous. Nobody wants to see that. I don't think any of the 2,539 subscribers, according to YouTube, want to see that. So, oh, and of course, the most recent video, the Vincent Pella one, it didn't do great in the metrics, but I kind of did that a little late. That's another thing. Like, if I want to do a topical thing like that, I'm going to have to just get on the ball. And if it's something I can't get on the ball with, I should just let it slide. Just let it be and focus on the next thing. Of course, at the same time, I got to make sure I just do my thing at the same time. So I wanted to take a look at some comments here from this recent video. Of course, this 2026 is going to be hell on for video game retail. So I wanted to go ahead and take a look at some of those comments. I'll just go to the actual video itself. Okay. And, in case anybody is watching, I can actually like respond to some of these comments. I have responded to some of them. I actually thought it was interesting. Ben Heck Hacks, which is an old school YouTube channel. I'm going to go ahead and go to his channel real quick. He actually somehow, the algorithm sent him my video, which is kind of interesting. But he's actually done a lot of cool videos back in the day, doing all kinds of different, he does a channel where he talks about making like different mods and, doing different computer things and things like that. And he actually ended up finding my channel somehow, which I thought was really cool. But, that's kind of a cool channel to check out. And, it's just really funny sometimes how the algorithm works. It doesn't make any sense. It feels like it just randomly happens with stuff. And that's kind of how this particular video was. It's just a random thing. Solid Nate, of course, I enjoy his channel. He does a lot of streaming content and stuff like that too. He, did a little video showing the Switch 2 and Xbox selection and whatnot at Walmart. And I was just commenting on it and then going into my perspective with the retail thing. So that's how that's what spawned the idea behind that video. This Maki V Media 1. I love watching a monster eat itself. Of course, he's talking about the video game industry because it's going to be crashing, in some form. It's not going to look the same way as the Atari crash did. The video game crash in 1983, the one that gets referenced like it's some old biblical event, or something like that. It's been that long ago. That was basically almost the birthplace of the industry. You think about that, like that's how long it's like you think about the span of written human history, um, from when it was first written to now, the several thousand years or so that was. And then you think about the time period from the beginning of the video game industry to now. It's kind of like a relative similar thing. Like it's, like it, like this goes back to like Old Testament times is how far ago in that relation the video game crash was. It's kind of wild just seeing how things developed. I don't know. It has been a really long time. That was 42 years ago. I'm 43. So I was able to be born, and I didn't play my first video game until after the video game crash happened, which my parents, from what I understand, my parents, they weren't really much into video games, but they did buy the Atari 2600. And, they liked, they like certain games. They like Space Invaders. I know Warlords was a really big game with them because Warlords was played with the paddle controllers instead of like the normal joystick. And the weird thing about the Atari paddle controllers is it was two controllers in one because it only had two controller ports. They didn't have any kind of multi-tap or whatever like some of the later consoles did where you can add more than two controllers. Instead, it was two controllers wired into one. So you were able to play 4 players on that. And that was kind of like a weird Pong-like game. It was similar to Pong, but instead of just having the ball go back and forth to, hit a goal or whatever, you had like these forts on the 4 different corners of the screen. This is old shit. So any of the younger people watching this stuff, you'll have no idea I'm talking about. Just look up Warlords Atari on YouTube. You'll see gameplay of how that works. And the goal was that you use your paddle to defend your castle. And, the ball would chip away at the castle, like if you fail to deflect it. And of course, the other players are trying to hit inside the castle so they defeat you and knock you out of the game. That's essentially the thing of Warlords. I guess my parents like that game for some reason. I can see why, from my time playing it. But the first game I remember playing was Pac-Man on the Atari 2600, which was a terrible version of the game, obviously. But that was the first video game I ever played. Obviously, they've gotten a lot better since then. They really have. So, like if they hadn't, I probably wouldn't be playing video games. I'd probably be a lot more interesting and successful as a person, most likely. Maybe. I don't know. But I do know video games and I appreciate them. And, they've helped me through some hard times. Just keeping it real, keeping a $1.50 on that. Yeah. But I don't know. I've kind of gone on long enough. I just wanted to kind of hop on here for a little while, kind of discuss some stuff about the channel. Just thank all the new subscribers. And of course, thanks all the ones that have been here for several months or years. Really cool shit. Really cool shit. I hope y'all had a Merry Christmas or Happy Hanukkah or whatever. I guess Kwanzaa happened the other day. Whatever other holidays that go on. Of course, we got New Year's coming up. It's going to be 2026 here very soon. And, hopefully it's a better year than 2025 is for people. They always say that, of course, like, oh, this year sucks. The next year is going to be the year. And then it oftentimes doesn't actually turn out to be that way. Of course, go figure. But I guess it's all a matter of perspective at the same time, like one person's good year can be one person's bad year and vice versa. That can happen. So, but hopefully it's a good year for you, you, the viewer watching this video. Hopefully you get to have some great success in your life, whether it's with work or relationships or school or whatever. Like, as far as video games, hopefully the games that you're anticipating kick ass and you can't get enough of them. And, all that good stuff. Hopefully they don't have a lot of bugs and the performance sucks and the frame rates dip into the teens like we see with some of these games. Just hopefully it's a good time for y'all around. That's what I'm gonna hope for next year. Hopefully it is a better year. I mean, I guess I can't say this year has been that bad for me. I know there's the whole political thing and whatever, and there's been a lot of crazy shit that's been going on with that. I've did videos on my alternate channel that talked about that kind of stuff, but I'm kind of over it at this point as far as that, because there's a lot of stuff that I just cannot control. I can only control what I do, and how I react to things. Like I'm not in a position to make big grand changes to the world. Really, none of us are that are watching this. If some big top shot guy or girl is in that position, help, please. We all need your help, but no, I'm just keeping it real, guys. Yeah, thank you again. 2,500 subscriber spectacular, which I guess, I don't know. I guess it's showing just an old shit. Whatever. I don't know how this even works, but yeah, we're going to cut it short. And I don't know. I might end up like downloading this and just making some slide edits and then just uploading it as a video, possibly. We'll see. I might just leave it up as a stream. I don't even know if anybody's going to watch it on the replay. I hope they do. And if they don't, I don't blame them one bit, because most of the time people don't go back and watch live streams. Unless they were watching the stream and maybe wanted to catch up on it after they missed something. Like, because they had to go to bed or whatever, and they just want to see how the rest of it played out. So, but yeah, you're going to be seeing a lot more of me next year for sure. At least if I can help it. So, thank you again for watching. That's going to be the last line.